My name is Tiffany Michael, and this is one of my students, Nick Moran, although you will see and hear from multiple students within our presentation today, or mini Bernie Sanders at times. I brought Nick with me because he's a phenomenal public speaker, and he has a great sense of humor, and I think Padlet helped him as well. I'm here today because I stumbled upon Padlet this school year, and it was amazing. And I was encouraged to submit a proposal to present today, and I've never done this before, and I was like, what? But I think I was bragging about Padlet so much with my colleagues, and like, oh, this is so amazing, this is like the tool, because I think as educators we get all sorts of shiny tech and gadgets and things thrown at us, and some of them are not user friendly, and some things are not intuitive, and some things there's a bunch of ads with the free account, and it can be really frustrating. And this was one of those tools where I kind of just latched on, and I was like, yes, this is easy, this is great, and it's really versatile. So just moving on, what is Padlet? So this is a Padlet, actually, that we made. And Nick, your turn. Take it over.
So I'm going to tell you basically what some of the kids said about Padlet. So I'm going to read this one and then kind of just go across the page. So Padlet helps by organizing your work and is very efficient. Kaylin said that. She's a 6th grader. You can make the background fit what you are doing. Britta, who's a 6th grader. Miss Michael, do you want to click on page?
I will. And by background, she means this. There's like lots of wallpaper that you can choose. So, of course, with kids wanting to jazz things up, like they can pick their wallpaper. You want me to play Aiden's?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other cool thing about Padlet is that you can link media in. So we have not only what the kids typed in, but like Owen wanted his picture as part of his quote, and Aiden preferred to do a video. And I checked the speakers works.
Padlet was a very helpful tool. It allowed me to do a lot of hard projects with it and not have any of my work get lost. Padlet allows you to have different links to different things. If you ever decide to use Padlet in the future, it's not that complicated to do.
Okay, go ahead.
And then some other quotes kind of. I love Padlet. It allows me to edit, organize, arrange, and keep all of my notes in one place. Now I don't have to keep track of all my notes because they are all in one spot. Jill, who's a 5th grader. It saves trees. Grant, who's a 6th grader. And the reason he's saying that is because normally we would just use these little note cards that we would write our thinking down on, and we would end up wasting a lot of paper.
And he knows I'm a tree hugger, so I think he was trying to win brownie points there.
Padlet helps you organize your stuff. Owen, who's a 5th grader, you see right there. It's like online sticky notes. Addison, who's a 6th grader. I think Padlet is awesome because you can move the sticky notes all around. You can put them into columns or groups, and it helps you stay organized. Anna, who's a 6th grader. Padlet is like a Google Doc because it saves automatically. Olivia, who's a 5th grader. So that's that slide.
Thank you. So I teach 5th and 6th grade. I think I've neglected to mention that at Crossett Brook Middle. So I have a multi-age language arts / science class. So we made a Padlet so that they could show you their little, like, what is Padlet? And some of the things that Padlet could do. So I guess I should go back to the presentation. There we go. So I chose this image because for me, when given something new, I jump off the deep end with both feet and go, we're just going to try this, kids. And we went 1-to-1 this year. We got our Chromebooks later in the year. And I was like, woo! Because at the point at which we did this argument writing project, we actually had old netbooks that are very slow and were a little challenging. But with all the tech that's kind of come down the line, I always say to the kids, what do I always stand up there and say? We're going to try.
We're going to try this,
And it might.
and it might backfire on us.
Usually I say it might blow up in our faces. However, we're going to learn together. And I think what I love about the kids is they're not afraid to click. Whereas, as adults, we're like, we might mess it up. We might, break it. We might lose something. And the kids are just like, they figure stuff out so fast. And so the culture at my classroom is kind of like, oh, I figured out how to do this. Okay, show us. Oh, how do I do this? Who knows how to do this? Okay, let's figure it out. Well, Padlet's easy. This presentation is not about all those other tools. Padlet is easy. It's a kind of a no-brainer. So here's how I learned about Padlet. So our school is partnership. We have a partnership with Tarrant for 2 years.
3. 2 more.
Life is our consultant. And one day in one of our Tarrant meetings, we were analyzing some data, and Life was like, okay, so I want you to analyze the data from this survey, and then I want you to post onto this Padlet your observations. I'm like, okay. And I was like, ooh, this is cool. I'd never seen Padlet before. It's like, I like this. I have to find a way to use this in my classroom. But from that point, I kind of tabled it for a while. I was like, all right, I got to use that, file it back here somewhere. And then about January, we were doing argument writing. And if anybody else uses Lucy Calkins, it's very rigorous. And so we were doing evidence-based research, argument writing. And so I pull out the index cards, and I think we've all been there. The index cards end up like confetti down the hall around the room. We're talking about middle schoolers who are not always the best at organization. And I was like, okay, but this is how I do it. They're going to have all their index cards to collect their research. So anyway, I gave the kids an article. We were going to argue what? They love this one.
If homework was bad or good for students.
Mm-hmm. And so I started with, I gave them an article, the benefits of homework, because I wanted them to see the other side, because I knew 98% of them were going to argue that, we shouldn't have homework. So they were in groups, they read the article, they had their index cards, they, wrote down some evidence they found, and then I went home and I was kind of beating my head against the wall. I'm like, all right, I teach 3 classes, the same thing, that's more than 60 kids. And what I wanted them to get out of this was, okay, now that you've got all this research, you have to sort it. And we have to find like ideas so that we can figure out what reasons we're going to argue. So kind of like a backwards design kind of thing, like just collect the evidence and then let's sort it. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get big strips of bulletin board paper and one for each class. And I was just having like management nightmares to do it for 3 classes, because this is the first time that not the first time I've taught middle school, but the first time I was doing, usually I taught one 5th grade class, so I just had to do it with 1 class. It was slightly more manageable. Anyway, so all of a sudden I get this epiphany late at night, which usually happens with me when I should be sleeping. But I'm like, oh, I could use Padlet. Okay, I'm going to try to use Padlet now. So essentially, I believe it's the next slide. The kids were in groups. And I said to them, okay, I want you to take all that evidence that you have, and I want you to pick the 3 best pieces of evidence you feel that you have. And I actually, just so you know how easy Padlet is, I did this for the first class. I made 1 Padlet with the intention of using it for all 3 classes, and I realized it was going to get jammed up way too fast. And so in transition, I created a new Padlet and pushed the link to the kids all in under 30 seconds. Bam. So I was like, as soon as I had the first class, I was like, this isn't going to work for 3 classes. I got to make a new one. And that's why they're they have color groups, because I was like, all right, Red class is coming in. Red needs a new Padlet. I'll make one real quick. I'll email them the link. They have it. And now we can all collaborate on this document. So they've got Padlet in front of them on their screens. I've got the Padlet big on the giant screen. And I said, now pick one person from your group to type. Because has anybody ever tried to have 20 kids collaborate on a Google Doc? Sometimes successful. You're typing, where are my cursors? Anyway, so I was like, all right, this is our first time doing this. I'm going to just have one person per group. So there's only like maybe 5 kids typing. And I said, can you put your initials, the person who's typing, so I at least knew which group, what was coming from where. So this was kind of a group Padlet. So one nice feature of Padlet, the collaboration piece. I created it, and the owner, I pushed them the link. They could all post to it, which was really, really nice.
Did you say they did this all on the computer?
Yeah.
And are you in Google Schools, so they were logged in, or they didn't have
When we did this, they were still on NetBooks. They eventually created their own accounts. This one, I created a free account for myself, and I pushed them the link, and they didn't have to sign in. They could just click on the link and collaborate. So they didn't, at this point, they didn't have to have their own account. As long as they had the link, they could collaborate. So anyway, we got here. I had them put their evidence on, and then kind of the what I was going for again was that, okay, now can we sort into like ideas? That kind of backward design of let's organize our research and then see if we can come up with, reasons to argue. Because for some kids, being able, which is why I always use the index cards, because they can manipulate them, and it was easier for them to figure out, these are my body paragraphs, into like ideas. So that was like end of day one. I'm in like meetings with my team, and I'm like, oh my God, this was so cool, because like they could all just type onto it, and I could move stuff around, and it was in front of them on their computer. It was on the big screen, and it was so great. It was so great. It was so great. And then I go home, and another epiphany strikes, and I say, well, wait a second. I set up an account in like seconds. They could all set up their own account and have their own link for their own research, and I've just solved a tremendous problem of the confetti index cards. Now it's all stored and housed in one digital home, and it saves automatically. Great. So anyway, I said, I'm going to have them create their own individual Padlets. And one of the things that is really nice about this is that I had each kid create a Google Doc. So imagine Google Docs and this document having kind of a symbiotic relationship. They always had the 2 tabs open because they were going back and forth between the two.
What was the
And-
Google Doc for?
Because I had them take their link for their Padlet, and I'll actually show you guys. And I had them attach it into, there we go. Hannah's already open. So I had them link their Padlet into a Google Doc, because then I could, and their Google Doc was shared with me, so I could access their Padlet at any point. And so I kept telling the kids, wherever you get your evidence from, copy and paste the link into here. And that was like super helpful, because I could, I think Big Brother was watching. That's because I had access to their Google Doc. I could access their Padlet at any time. I was looking to see how much, evidence they had collected. I was looking to see, had they gotten to the point where they organized the evidence. I was looking to see if they had statistics or quotes that were actually relevant, or did they just write, homework is bad, and insert a link to an article and not pull anything specific. So it really helped me when I was conferencing with kids and giving them feedback, knowing where they were in the process, because I could look at their Padlet. So yeah, this was kind of a netbook snafu. Normally on another device, it is a hyperlink right to where you want to go, which was great, because if I was meeting with a kid and they wrote something questionable, or they had a really good article, I was like, let's go back to that article, and they could click right on it rather than, I don't know where I got that from. I don't know where I wrote that down from. I don't know. Love this one. Where'd you find your facts? Google. Ever gotten that one? Well, I got it from Google. Yeah, okay, I know it. All right, kids, we're learning. And then the kids that, copy and pasted 3 paragraphs into a note, and I'm like, oh, that's not what we're doing. So it really helped me because I don't know how I would have managed over 60 kids' index cards and keeping on top of their research and really truly knowing where they were. And then, Nick, what would have happened at the beginning and end of every class? What do you think would have happened if we had all those index cards everywhere?
They would probably be like, the classroom would be really dirty, the kids would be like moving them out and stuff.
Yeah, and just the time, just efficiency. Yeah,
Just
that organizational piece of, okay, we always have 42 tabs open and I need to see their stuff. Where am I clicking?
Right.
That I make my workflow easy. Because now I just take my Chromebook home. I don't take 60 notebooks home. I don't take 60 binders home. I take my Chromebook home because they submit everything through Schoology, which is fantastic. That's why I said Big Brother's watching, because from home I can sit on my couch at 9 o'clock at night and know where they are in the process. So the next step in the process was once they collected all of their evidence, we then organized it into similar ideas. So the nice thing about this digital warehouse was that not only did it save all of their information, but then they could move it around and manipulate it and say, okay, what are these 3 things all saying? Oh, homework causes stress. Well, there's your first reason you're going to argue in your argument writing. And so kind of that backwards design again. Okay, what evidence do I have? So what is that evidence saying? Homework causes stress. Homework causes health problems. You have less time for family, friends, and after-school activities. So in having taught, persuasive and opinion writing in the past, having them collect this evidence and organize it this way, can I just tell you their argument writing was like phenomenal because they had all these like statistics and facts to back it up rather than their first draft of, arguing that they didn't want homework, which was just like, it sucks and I hate it and I have 52 hours of baseball after school so I don't have time to do homework, right? I got a lot of that the first time, and second time we got a lot better. So then we turned this into what I like to call the living graphic organizer. Because we could manipulate it, it was yet again like my use of Padlet was constantly evolving because I was like, wait a second, we just sorted and we put our reasons, but wait a second, now we can make it like even more finite and detailed, and so they made labels for their evidence. And then some of the kids even got to the point where they included some of their own analysis in before they ever began writing. So it became this amazing graphic organizer that, when we rewound weeks prior, I didn't see this coming. It just kind of evolved. And again, I'm running around with my colleagues. I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. You have to see what we did. Like, saving trees all over the place, and it's all in one spot.
No.
They don't lose anything.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I see this, so they use they know that there's title,
Mm-hmm.
and there's write something, right? Isn't that how when they type it in? So you just kind of let them do whatever. Like some of them, just do it all as a title.
Yeah.
And some do it
Yeah.
the other part. And
Yeah, if you look at all the kids' Padlets, some of them were, they just typed in the title section. Some of them just, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was like, as long as they had their reasons. And then the other really nice thing, and this is kind of why I picked Tati's, is that Padlet gives you kind of as much space as you need. So if you kept adding notes, this thing would just keep going and going and going and going. So it's not limited to the screen, I guess you could say. So one of the things, too, that was really helpful about this was just like the being able to conference with students and see where they didn't have support yet. I was constantly checking these things to see where the kids were in the process so that I could keep on top of kids. And so I felt like I was way more effective at argument writing than I would have been if note cards were sitting in my room. Oh, I get to be quiet. It's your turn.
What I thought about Padlet, that's basically what I'm going to be telling you. I kind of am one of I have really bad organizational problems, like really bad organizational problems, and so Padlet really helps me. It helped me stay organized and not lose my research. It also saved time, like I could type notes, which was a lot easier for me than writing with pencil because I'm not as fast at that typing. I didn't need to take time to paperclip cards at the end of class, which you would kind of have to do because you just do that. And then you put them in your binder and you probably lose it when you get it back to your locker. I had more research because I could type rather than handwriting my notes. Did I already say that? I feel like
It's
I did.
okay.
It saved automatically, and no ideas or research was lost.
All right. Why do teachers love Padlet for research?
Teachers love Padlet because we can access it from anywhere. Differentiation for students' needs. It's
Do I talk like that?
Yeah.
Do I do that?
No. It's efficient, free, ease. Wait. What is ease?
Ease of setup.
What is it? Ease of setup.
Like I said, like 30 seconds I was able to create a Padlet and push it to kids. It was easy. Okay, so I'm the kid now. So I didn't have to like use that archaic thing called a pencil and get writer's cramp in language arts every day. And then I knew what my sources were. It saved everything automatically, so I had way more research than I would have if I had to handwrite it down. And I didn't lose anything because Mrs. Michael is always chasing kids out of the room, like, don't forget your binder and your book, and where is this, Nick, and do you have it? I could access it from home because I'm a really diligent student who's going to make sure that I do a really good job. And it helped tremendously with organization. I don't care who the kid was. The organized kids loved it because they appreciate organization. The kids who lack organizational skills loved it because they saw that they could recognize that it actually helped them. And ironically, when I solicited the kids for testimonials, the first few kids that volunteered were kids who have organizational challenge issues. They saw the value in using the tool, and to me, that's what was important. They knew it helped them. Instead of me being like, this is awesome. So now that we've talked about Padlet as a tool for warehousing research, it's been my new favorite go-to tool for a variety of things, so I plugged in a few other things that we've used Padlet for. One of them being, when you're analyzing just about anything, the kids can take notes. So for this project, I have a blog where the kids write book reviews, and then they're all authors of the blog, so they all contribute book reviews so that, when they're like, I don't know what book to read, we'll go to the blog, and then you can see what your friends are recommending. So I wrote a mentor post, and I said, okay, I want you to brainstorm with a partner what my post has. So I pushed them a link to a Padlet. I had this on the screen, and the really nice thing was they were working in partners, and I said, okay, I want you guys to put your name on one note and bullet point all the things that you see. And so I'm standing here, the kids are busy working, and I was just watching, and I could see the engagement. I knew who was working, and then I was like, oh, that note's not moving anywhere. I need to go check in on these guys over here. So it kind of helped me know how I needed to manage my class and where I needed to invest my energy. And I had one group, we got it all. And I'm like, no, there's some nuanced things in my post I bet you could find. And then they went right back at it. And so, easy management tool. It's on the big screen. They have it right in front of them. I know right which groups I need to go to help. And they all get their ideas out. And then, the next day, I basically took all they said and turned it into a Google form checklist then, that when they did their own post, they had to complete a Google form that they had all the elements in their own post. And it came from them because of Padlet. And it wasn't on chart paper in my classroom, so when I was home later that night, like, oh, what did they write on the piece of chart paper? I need to turn this into a Google form. I had it. So it was in there, in the cloud. Another thing I did is that, I have a student with Down syndrome, and when I met with the special educator, I was teaching I'm still finishing a geology unit, and so we decided to come up with, she does a lot of activities with matching. That's kind of her go-to thing. And I said, well, I wonder if I could make a Padlet with the vocabulary and pictures, and so she could sort things and match the pictures. So it's kind of like a digital matching game. And then we screenshot it. Like we did a pre-assessment with this, and we screenshot it, and then we're going to do it again she practices, but we're going to do it again at the end to like show growth. So it was a way to meet special needs as well. And then probably one of the easiest go-to things is just brainstorming. We did an ecology unit, we were talking about abiotic and biotic factors, and I go back to Britta's, you can change it to what you like, because I was like, oh, we're doing an abiotic and biotic factors, so I was like, I like the bamboo, and then I'm going to change my little avatar, because I'm a geek. So with this one, the kids had kind of started out with just brainstorming what they thought were abiotic and biotic factors, and then we put up the definition, and then we went and sorted, and then we broke it down even further. So it was kind of like, again, an evolution of a Padlet into let's just brainstorm, and then let's use it to organize things. Yes.
So when you did like if this was an introductory kind of introduction to Padlet, would you have them each with their own?
No, with this one.
Would they each have their own? Would they each have access? Would you have them group work? Is it less chaotic? If you have like, okay, one computer for like 3 kids or something.
Usually, I've done it where there's 2, 3, sometimes 4 kids in a group, and one person is in charge of typing. Like I will say to them, decide who's gonna type today, and their engagement is still way up even if there's only one person in the group. I mean,